So I've received several emails this week from people that are going through very difficult challenges, and they're definitely challenges in their own right, in their own respect. And so I thought I would share with you a story that I had read one time in this old philosophical book. And this story was essentially a metaphor for human life and how we develop and the different changes and challenges and how we deal with the challenges that come our way. And as the analogy goes, is that we all start out as a baby lion, if you will. And after we become a baby and as we start to grow, we get conditioned into becoming a camel. And see, a camel is just essentially a beast of burden. A beast of burden is an animal that takes on the burden of others. It's an animal that you just throw your luggage on its back and force it to travel wherever you want it to go. It carries people, it carries really whatever the burden is that's thrown on its back. And that's what happens to people in their life. As they start to grow up, they, for a period of time, are beasts of burdens. You know, when you're a child, you don't really have much choice in your life as to, what you're going to believe, what you're going to think, where you're going to live. When you're young, you don't really have the power to be able to make those kind of choices for yourself. So you're essentially just a beast of burden. But around the age of, anywhere from 18 to 25 or really any point in someone's life, there comes a point when they get to a crossroad and they start to find themselves becoming their own person, being able to think for themselves. And at this point, as you're starting to venture on out into the desert, into unknown territory, you will be approached by a dragon. And this dragon's name is Thou Shalt. And the reason why this dragon's name is Thou Shalt is because this dragon is going to approach you and say, Thou shalt continue being a beast of burden. Thou shalt turn right back around and get right back to doing your job, being a beast of burden. Thou shalt not think like this. And at that point, this is a pivotal moment in your life when you either have to decide to turn right back around out of fear and to continue on being that beast of burden for the rest of your life, living under the thumb, under the opinion of what other people think about you and dictating how you should live your life, or to utilize the two greatest weapons that you were born with. And these two weapons are, the first weapon is the weapon of no, and the second weapon is the weapon of I will. And if you choose to find that inner lion that you have been all along since the time you were born, then you're going to have to slay down this dragon. And so as you pull out that first weapon, that weapon of no, you slash down that dragon and you say, no, I will not turn back around. And then you pull out the second weapon, which is the weapon of I will, and you say, I will pursue my dreams, and I will think for myself, and I will make my own decisions. And after you slay down this dragon, you start to become stronger. You start to blossom and realize that you are a lion. And at first it feels great, but the interesting thing about it is all of a sudden, you're going to start to feel a pain. An emotion of pain is going to creep in. And this pain comes in the form of loneliness, comes from the form of rejection, comes from the disappointment, the disapproval that you will receive from others, because other people aren't going to like the fact that you're no longer their little beast of burden and that you are deciding that you don't want to just go along with everything that they say in life, that you're all of a sudden wanting to become more powerful and think for yourself. And see, a lot of people, when they hit this point, it can become so confusing that they can begin to question their own sanity. They can begin to question if maybe they really are meant to be a camel. Maybe they really aren't a lion. And some people, it gets so great that they'll turn right back around and continue to live a life as a camel, even though that they really are a lion. And the reason why is because most people have been conditioned to have chronic low self-esteem. And most people believe that they can't rather than they can. See, UCLA did a study and found that a child on average is told no or receives some sort of rejection about 400 times a day. And so you can imagine from the time you're a child until you become an adult what that does to you and your ability to feel confident about the decisions that you make. on average, the average person is exposed to about 5,000 advertisements a day from social media and TV and radio and billboards and everything around us. You can imagine what that does to the perception that you have about the world and how you are supposed to live. It can make it confusing to think for yourself, to be able to have your own ideas, and to know if what you're doing is the right way, or if you should just listen to the herd and listen to what you're being brainwashed to by society. And see, let me tell you a story about the man of Mr. Murita. He was the co-founder of Sony, and he said that the most important transition of his life came when he created the transistor radio. And after he created this transistor radio, Bulova Corporation offered to contract him out to build 100,000 radios for their company. And this was 10 times the value of his entire company, because Sony was just a small company at that time. I mean, this was bigger. This was a bigger order than just the first order alone was 10 times bigger than he was even doing sales in a month. He would have been wealthy for the rest of his life had he said yes. But this was a dragon. This was a dragon that had approached him. And he had a different destiny, a different vision for his life and his product that he created. So he pulled out his sword and he said no. And he pulled out his other sword and he said, I will build up my company Sony so big that 50 years from now, Sony will be a larger name than Bulova Corporation. And today, everybody all over the world knows of Sony. Not everybody's heard of Bulova Corporation. And see, this is the thing. You may be dealing with some sort of pain and turmoil in your life right now. But this is probably because you're at a crossroad. You're probably at a point in your life where you've identified that you want something more out of your life, that you don't want to just settle for what life has handed your way. And you have to make a choice. And you got to make a choice to either slay down this dragon that is in front of you, or to turn back around and to continue to live the rest of your life as a camel. But I can promise you this: if you decide to take that path of becoming a lion, slaying down that dragon, utilizing your two most powerful weapons of the power of no and the power of I will, then you're going to find out just how far you can really take this thing called life. Let go of being a beast of burden so that you can become a lion.